Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Here's today's question. Of course, it's going to vary significantly, for every property, where you're buying, things like that. But just in general, when you say you're getting into these properties for less money, what are you able to acquire a property at for a price? And then generally, what does it cost to renovate it? So what are your all-in costs for a typical property so that someone who's new to investing can try to get a gauge as to if this might be plausible for them? And then also maybe talk to us about how you're funding that. Are you able to use some bank financing if they don't have all of the money that they need to buy it cash? What does that whole process look like?
Across the country, in every state, we are purchasing homes. The acquisition costs, the holding costs, the repairs, the labor, the marketing when we sell it. In all states, from the coast and inland, well, maybe not so much on the coast, but we are purchasing properties all in under 10,000, acquisition, holding, labor, material. We're selling it. We want to get all our money back. Like I said, 6 to 12 months or less, 300 minimum cash flow, 5 years minimum when we sell it. That's every state. Now, is that in your backyard? Is that like next door? Maybe not. You might have to drive 20 or 30 miles to get to certain areas, to get to those lower priced homes, or to find a home that's currently available right now. And that's a snapshot in time. Next week, there'll be new sellers, the week after that, the month after that. So around the country, we're definitely buying them in all in under 10 grand. But does that mean that's what we're only doing? No, you can be all in for under 20. And now you sell it for, well, maybe that's a home you can sell for cash and double your money. Or it's a home you can sell with FHA or conventional finance. Or you get a bigger down payment and you make your money back in 18 months or 20 months. I will say this, if you're over 10 grand, I want you selling the home typically for more than 5 years worth of payment. If you're into a home for 10 grand, and that might not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but for a mobile home, that's a lot. If you're into it for more than 10 grand, I usually want you selling for 8 to 10 years worth of payments because it's a nicer home. We're paying more for it. We have more into it. You have under 20,000 into it. And even if you have more than 20,000, there's some people I work with on the coastal areas that they buy homes, they fix them up, they have 50 grand into them, and they're selling them for 80 grand or 100 grand cash or bank financing. If you're ever into a home more than 20 grand, in my opinion, get out of it. Sell it for cash, unless you can get a big fat down payment and get all your money back still in a year. If you're over at 20 grand, get your money back out. And ideally, you shouldn't be over 20 grand on a junky older home that you can only sell on payments. Mobile homes are forgiving, but don't just go out there, the people listening to this, and buy, you talk the person down from 40 grand down to 20 grand. You think you're the best negotiator ever. That's not necessarily the case. We really have to be crystal clear on what you can resell before you make any offers or buy anything. Those are the numbers. In every state, under 10 grand, and then it kind of goes up from there.
So if you could see my face right now as we're recording this, you would see that I had a surprised look on my face when you said all in for under 10 grand, because I find that to be very interesting. And I want to know, how are you able to find those deals? Are they off market? Do you have relationships with the mobile home park owners so you're able to get those properties that way? Are you buying them off the MLS or something similar? How are you able to acquire a property for that little price and renovate it? Because I'm assuming you have to buy the property for maybe $2,000-$3,000, maybe $4,000, and then put $6,000-$7,000 into it for renovations, maybe less, something along those lines. So how are you finding properties for that cheap?
I'm laughing because you were saying that you find it interesting. Be real. You say I'm lying. You can just tell me the truth.
I followed your material. I know what you've done, so I 100% believe you. It blows my mind because, again, we talked about this a little bit before the show. I've been talking to some people in the mobile home park space, and for the last few months, I'm trying to get involved in it, and I've been looking, not super diligently, but I can't find anything anywhere near that price in my area. So I'm curious, how are you able to do that?
First, want to sort of mention, the job of a wholesaler. If you're a wholesaler, your job is to find good deals, and that's where you lock in your profit. You found it first, or you negotiated it, and you got that contract first. That's where a wholesaler locks in their profit. So I say that because you're getting a kind of a clear picture of the market. I mentioned earlier on that I don't just want people going to Facebook or Craigslist and seeing, okay, well, this is who I can choose from. And I guess out of all these people, I'm going to go with this person and this person and this person. It's absolutely what you said. It's a relationship with other investors, talking to people and following up. It's a combination of all that. And it's not those prices. If people have time and they're patient and they're asking a retail price, there's a lot of those folks out there, of course. A lot of people will go through their life and never need the help of an investor, in general, cars, homes, whatever. But some people, they do for a variety of reasons. Some people are more logical and some people are less logical or more emotional. So to answer your question, it's not just one thing that we do to advertise or market. When I work with folks, we really try hard to sort of dominate the local market. I want people to know who you are and for you to have relationships with enough people that you have sort of a spider web across your entire, maybe not state, obviously, but within like a 50-mile radius of where you are, you have this big spider web where you know what's going on. You have relationships out there. And it takes a while. It takes around 9 to 10 months that I've seen, if you're doing things daily, where for the first 9 or 10 months, you're making most of the call. It's you doing the work because no one really knows who you are or what you do. After 9, 10, 11 months, now we're starting to see more people know who you are. They know what you do. You have more of a reputation. We're not doing every deal. We're only doing the deals that are quite profitable. So you learn more about your market. You learn more about your numbers. You can start brokering homes. You can start wholesaling homes as well. And you mentioned before about, I wanted to talk about this. I'm glad you brought this back up because you mentioned about fixing the homes up. You assume that we're buying the home for $2 or $3 grand. We're putting $6 to $8 grand in it and we're selling it. And by the way, $6 to $8 grand in a mobile home, it goes a long way. Depends on who you have repairing it. They could be just screwing you with the price, but $6 to $8 grand should go a long way in a mobile home. We are not always fixing these homes up to the nine. We're not always selling homes for the top dollar that we can get down. Even if I sell a handyman special, I'm making the quote fingers right now. Even if we sell a handyman special, and it may or may not be a handyman special, it's very livable, or maybe it's not as livable. But when you sell a home on payments, as long as you don't have to disclose everything, but you should disclose everything. You don't have to fix these homes up to the nine. I've learned over the last 18 years that there are certain repairs that the bulk of society is going to turn around and run the other way. They don't want any part of those repairs. There's mold, there's soft spots, there's bugs, there's gross smells. Most of society is not going to be cool with that. But if it's more like, well, I got to paint the home, or I got to freshen up the carpets, or like the home is used or it's lived in, but it's very livable and it's just used because it's a used home. Let's face it. That's fine. So you don't have to put as much repairs in. You do have to fix certain things. And it depends if you're selling on payments or cash. If you sell for cash, you want to fix it up nicer. But if you're selling on payments, you don't have to fix everything up that you think that you would. We don't have to get these to we want them to be livable, but they don't have to be quote unquote rent ready. One might think of rent ready. It can be below that rent ready level.
That's all for this episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.